The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air.
Jeroboam, the son of Nebat. The last time I saw you, you were running away from my father. I've heard that you have escaped to Egypt, and for some reason now you are back. So I must ask you, state your business.
Yes, Rehoboam, I have returned from Egypt. And you're right, I did leave the way to flee from Solomon, but I'm back. And you know what? I have one simple request.
Is it war you want?
No, surely not. No war, I come in peace, again. I'm here along with the whole assembly of Israel, and we just have one thing to request from our king. Your father put a heavy yoke on us, a heavy burden. Now lighten the labor and the heavy yoke that he put on us, and we will serve you. That's all we ask. Just lighten this burden. Why do you have your people working so hard?
Jeroboam, son of Nebat. So now you are advocate for the people. You make me laugh, but I must say, as newly appointed king, it is in my best interest to be as wise as my father. And because of that, I ask a request of you.
What is it?
Depart from me and return in 3 days.
3 days?
I need time to think about this and to consult my advisors to see what we shall do about this taxing situation.
Fine, so be it. We will come back in 3 days. King Solomon has passed away, and now Israel once again finds itself needing a king. This week we will discuss 1 Kings chapter 12 and see how a nation was divided. As always, be blessed and enjoy. All right, welcome back to another episode of a Breath of Fresh Air podcast.
My name is Nakhaz Gay.
Here with your host, Nakhaz. And Earl. My name is Earl. Hopefully everyone had a great week. How's it going? We good?
We're good.
We are good on the technicals.
We're good.
So hopefully everyone is having a great week. Hopefully we guys haven't been too hectic. But through it all, hopefully, you spent some time with God and He was able to provide some calm during the storm and the trials and tribulations of life. This is always a good thing. Always a good time when you get a chance to reflect and during the week and just appreciate God. Like sometimes I just find myself just playing Hillsong gospel piano. Because I don't want to hear the lyrics too much because, sometimes you get too distracting, but I could just hear like the music and the melody. It just keeps me calm.
That's good.
So I was even play it during meetings.
Okay.
Bro, because sometimes, bro, you just want to tell people.
Just want to tell people,
May God bless you.
amen. That's good because I've been struggling with certain gospel songs sometimes, bro. Because sometimes I, being that I'm in the space where I try to write music for Christ, I try to understand how people do that, because the music I'm used to doing is pretty vain, I'll be honest with you, and pretty like meaningless, because it doesn't have like purpose, and it doesn't really glorify God, I would say. But there's always a purpose, to entertain, to make people understand how I'm feeling and stuff. But sometimes I wonder how do people express themselves when it comes to God. Because I have so much respect for God, and I don't want to just be saying stuff because it rhymes. And a lot of my songs, I said it because it rhymed. Like And it didn't really matter what I said right here because the melody is what we really care about. And so I feel like sometimes you got to listen to just the instruments, because the instruments, it's just pure feeling and no analyzing. Sometimes.
Exactly, man. The feeling gets conveyed, and like, it's something we don't talk about too often, and probably I almost don't think we really talk about it that much like on the podcast either. But it's like, man, the feeling, like the actual praise and worship to God. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're in the moment, it's hard to like, describe in words what that feeling is. 'Cause I remember even you said like, well, I don't remember what it was like this past, anyway, last year sometime, I think you went to like a concert and you was describing like the feeling in the concert when he was like, man, it was like just a feeling we have a bunch of worshipers together. And it's kind of hard to put in words, but like, it's like that feeling when you're in a space where like it's just me and God. You could be around other people, but you just feel that like, man, God's connecting with me right now. And I just want to like thank him for what he's done for me through this week, through my life, something I'm going through right now. But it's like, man, that feeling, that worship, like, yeah, it's something. It's definitely something.
It's beautiful, and I think it's needed,
Yeah, man. Last week, Friday night we just passed. Like, I went back and I looked back at like one of my college Vespers services, right? Man, and then like, it's like the music that was playing, obviously at this point, old, like almost like what, 8 years old plus. Anyway, but it's like, man, the feeling that was there, it was almost like I was back in the audience, because I just remember like where I was at that point in my life. Like that was the point where like I had like, was my furthest away from God, I'd want to say. And like, it just took me back to that moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, it's just, that's a story for another day, but it's just so wild how, the music and the feeling can take you back and just reflect on how good God has been to you. And man, whoever else around doesn't matter, because, everyone has their own personal experience and relationship with God, because God has done great things in your life, my life, everyone's lives. And it's up to us about how we, testify that. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes, when I was younger, we would be in church, they have testimony time.
Yep.
As a kid, I'd be like, oh boy, here we go.
It's always so boring.
Oh my goodness, right?
Yeah.
But like, as I'm an adult now, I'm like, well, one, I was very immature back then. But now you look at them like, man, like, that's cool. Like, this person actually wants to talk about the good things God has done to them. And me on the outside looking in, I don't know how this impacted their relationship with God and how they're feeling. I mean, we read in the Bible, David was dancing in the streets almost naked. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, who are we to scoff at someone's testimony, because we have many reasons to be grateful. So.
No, I definitely agree. And I was talking to my friend, Daniel Hall, who's a pastor in South Carolina today, and I was telling him how...
We need to get Daniel on the pod.
Yeah, we really need to. He was here for like a few hours late last year. They were going on a cruise. But if he's... And he has family in the area, well, closer to you. But, if he's ever back in town, no questions asked. I'm like, bro, we need you, bro. I don't want to hear nothing, bro. Let's get it done.
No slopping up.
Yeah, no slopping up. And so I was talking to him about how like mentally I've been in a better place because I've been dieting and exercising. And I was saying how it's like when you give full vent to one part of your life, it kind of like diminishes the discipline in all areas in your life. And like one of them parts was like my sleep schedule, my eating schedule, and also my physical activity, because it might be times when it's like, bro, oh man, I don't wanna work out. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't work out today, then your body gonna feel more heavier tomorrow. You're not gonna you actually digging yourself deeper into that. If you decide to overguard yourself today, then tomorrow you're not gonna have the resistance to say, hey, no, I'm only gonna eat just a little bit, just what I need. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you continue to over gratify yourself, you are breaking one of the fruits of the spirit, which is self-control, And so if you're not in the spirit, you actually digging deeper into the flesh, you know what I'm saying? And so like, what I realized is that once I could prove to myself that I could master my diet and not give in to the pleasures of food, you know what I'm saying? Because that's one thing we need to sustain, but then you could do more than sustain when it comes to food. You could be leaning on food from a vice perspective, and this isn't something that's going to always be like as pleasurable all the time. You might eat the same thing all the time, and it might be amazing to you, but too much of that is going to lose that luster. And now if I'm leaning on this slice of cheesecake to bring me joy and it ain't hitting the same, now I'm really spiraling because I'm like, bro, this ain't doing it for me no more. You feel me? And so it's just really just being able to have discipline and work out and feed my like self-control that help me in other aspects. Like when I stopped overindulging and eating, I was able to diet, obviously, work out harder, but I was able to wake up on time because now I'm like, bro, we not in a sluggish state where we just doing whatever we feel like it. No, we doing what's constructive for ourselves. And I feel like that's a mental and physical battle that you have, right? But I also feel like musically, we need to have some type of structure in the music we listen to as well, because if we don't praise, bro, I feel like you lack in an aspect of connecting to your creator. When I treat my body good, I feel closer to my creator because I'm actually cleaning up his temple. You know what I'm saying? I'm removing distractions out of my life that could cloud my judgment. I'm not as deep in the flesh because now I'm using self-control, which is a fruit. We eat fruits like it's a fruit of the spirit. You know what I'm saying? And from a musical perspective too, I feel like when we praise, when we listen to music, that is another component of the human existence that we can connect to our Father with, and I definitely see the necessity to actually express yourself like through praise, whether that just be clapping, you know what I'm saying, just swaying, what they call it, Velcro or whatever, whatever that is, you know what I'm saying. Like I don't judge, and I don't know biblically how you can judge because everything is written. They don't say, oh, David was hitting the heel and toe, you know what I mean, or David was whatever, we don't know how he danced, but we did know that he expressed himself,
That praise and glory and honor to God, because he does deserve it.
Definitely
does deserve it.
Definitely.
So this week we are coming from 1 Kings chapter 12, and as a recap from last week, or just to set the stage, King Solomon has fallen. He has gone to sleep with his fathers. He is dead. So now we know before he died, his heart was turned away from God, and he was led to worship other gods. He created altars to other gods, other abominations, to our God. And God was, needless to say, not happy with that at all. So God told Solomon that, hey, you did not heed my word, you did not take my commandments. Only because of your father David, I will not rip the kingdom away from you while you're alive. But from your son, I surely will do it. And your son will only be left with 2 of the 12 tribes of Israel, and I will give the other 10 to someone else. And so now this is where we at. The other person was Jeroboam, who was in charge of the labor force of Israel. And the prophet came to Jeroboam and told him that God has chosen you to, lead the next kingdom of Israel. And God also told him that, hey, your kingdom will be just as great as David's own if you walk in my ways and keep my commandments and, lead the people towards me. So that sets the stage where we're picking up from in 1 Kings chapter 12. So now I'm going to start reading from verse 1. And Rehoboam, this is really going to be fun. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel had gone to Shechem to make him king. So it happened when Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, heard it, he was still in Egypt, for he had fled from the presence of King Solomon and had been dwelling in Egypt. So set the stage. When Solomon heard that Jeroboam was going to be the one who's going to be king, Solomon pulled a page from King Saul's book and said, not on my watch, my son going to be king. So what am I going to do? I'm going to kill God's anointed. But God was like, Solomon, let's not do this. And Solomon just accepted it. But Jeroboam, knowing his life was in danger, he fled to Egypt. It's a very important point that we're going to come again later. But now we see in verse 3, when Jeroboam heard that, they sent and called him. Then Jeroboam and the whole assembly of Israel came and spoke with Rehoboam, saying, Your father made our yoke heavy. Therefore lighten the burdensome service of your father and this heavy yoke which he put on us, and we will serve you. So he said, Depart from me for 3 days, and then come back to me. And the people departed. So I find what's interesting, right? Jeroboam already know the plan with God set in stone. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying, you know what? I don't even need to be king right now in this current passage. Rehoboam, let's just see what you can do. Solomon been taxing us pretty heavily.
Yep.
All we ask is you to like lessen this burden on us.
That's all it is.
We can't take this burden no more. It's almost unaffordable. Yes, your father's living a lavish lifestyle, many concubines, many guests, doing all these grandiose, these glorious infrastructural projects, all these buildings and monuments and walls and things. All right, these things finished. We don't need to be getting taxed the same. Lessen the burden. Please, help us out.
Do you think that Jeroboam knew the outcome of this? And so he was like kind of laying
It could have been a trap.
Yeah, like a trap, right?
It guess it's the next way to rise up with the people against Rehoboam, because he might already know Rehoboam's character.
Mm-hmm.
Get what I'm saying? So one, you want to have the same type of kingdom that Solomon had, and how does Solomon have this kingdom?
Taxing people
through these taxes.
Yeah.
So now, what's the best way to win people on your side? Have a cause.
Mm-hmm.
What is my cause? I want lower taxes for you people. It's so funny, right? Because we have these same political points as talking points in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And these were, goodness gracious, 4,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago.
Estimate.
You know what I'm saying? Like about 4,000 years ago, these are political talking points. We want lower taxes because we can't afford your taxes. And so again, he had a calls for people. He's saying, look, I already gone to Rehoboam. I asked for lower taxes. Let's see what he say.
Yeah, regardless if it was a snare or not, though, I think because it is a new sheriff in town, Rehoboam being our sheriff, this is the easiest way for us to make a change, because Solomon reigned for 40 years. We already know how Solomon go. We might already tried to have these conversations with Solomon and it didn't work. Or because you know Solomon character, you know he ain't going for that. The man too wise and ain't nothing you could bring to him that he hadn't already considered. So let's try to speak to Rehoboam. Maybe he might be a little more reasonable in that.
I mean, I bet he had too. It's like, bro, we don't love you like your daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in more recent times, not to bring this conversation too secular, right? But we had, a very popular family who had a very popular figure who recently died.
Mm-hmm.
And when their son took over of the family estate, a lot of people was like, we don't really rock with you like how we rock with your mommy.
Mm-hmm.
So it was almost the same thing here, like, we don't really rock with you like we rock with Solomon. Like, yeah, Solomon gonna get away with that, but you, buddy, you.
Not you.
You was son number 500 years. We don't even know what number son he is.
Right.
It's the first time we hear about Solomon church.
Yeah, for true. For true.
Solomon had 1,000 wives.
I would assume that this was son number 1. You know what I mean? That's my assumption. But we have nothing to base it off. No, I'm not saying one of one. I'm with you. It might be one of 1,000 for all I know.
Solomon wasn't even number 1. So who knows?
That's true. That's true.
Neither was David.
That is true. That is true. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I can't say. I just know it's so interesting. We have the battle of the Boams right now. we got Rehoboam versus Jeroboam. And for some reason, I'm not going to mix them up, bro. For some reason, I know distinctly who each of them are, but it's not like Mephibosheth and Ishbosheth, because that was whooping me. Like even, and bro, even Amnon and Absalom, I get them two mixed up because I can't remember which one is you feel me? But yeah.
The Booms, you got them.
I think I get the Booms. For some reason, brother, RH, I'm like, I just have to, I can't help but to remember that come from Solomon. You know what I mean? Like, you do that. That RH, all right, cool. Rehoboam, yeah.
It's so interesting, like how, like, I don't know if it's because Solomon's name is just so notarized, like it isn't really an old name. Because I'm like, you was Solomon. Your father was David.
Mm-hmm.
But you was Rehoboam.
Right. And Rehoboam sounds like an older name than Solomon, right?
Way older.
To me, so does Jeroboam in a way.
They both are Boams.
But guess what? Adam is older than all of them, right? And Noah, bro, I was told that Noah was one of like the top names in like 2020, 21 up to name your child, bro.
That's wild.
And I'm like, turn up, you know what I mean? Like, I ain't ignoring it. But some names, they just never lose. It's like they can't be antiquated at all. But then we have the Isaiah, Nehemiah.
Yeah, they old.
Right, like Obadiah. Like, I'm like, that dia suffix is like, I don't know, bro.
You're dating yourself there.
For real.
That's wild, though. Like,
it is interesting.
Names just age different.
And then Elizabeth, right? We hear that name in the New Testament, Mary's cousin, but that name seems very old, and we get introduced to that in the New Testament. I don't know. Anyway, little tangent. But Rehoboam, he is now confronted by the people. And these ain't just regular people making their grievances. These people that worked in the courts, this was people close to Solomon as well. This was Jeroboam leading the pack. He was one of Solomon's men. And he actually have a little bit of guts to him, because he already got the assurance from the prophet that he was going to be the next king. Who knows when next king will be?
If you know the story of David, you could be the next king and waiting for a while.
Real talk. If you have that in mind, he probably did.
So now, he said the prophet, and the king. So in verse 6, the king consulted the elders who stood before his father Solomon while he still lived. And he said, "How do you advise me that I answer these people?" And they spoke to him, saying, "If you will be a servant to these people today and serve them and answer them and speak good words to them, then they will be your servants forever." Sound like sound advice.
It does.
He's saying, hey, guess what? They coming to you. They ain't riding, they revolting. They coming to you making they, please known. They still like your daddy. He was next in line. So they asked you for this thing. It's better it's literally better if you win your people over so they like you before you start doing foolishness.
Yep, for sure.
So you can at least have some equity with these people. So when you start doing foolishness, they might look the other way until you majorly start messing up.
Right, it's input equals your output.
Exactly.
If you do them a solid, they could do you a solid. I mean, I go with so many scenarios that fits in. It sounds kind of reasonable if you ask me.
Yeah, and these are people who was advising Solomon.
Yeah.
Again,
the wisest man,
but right. He's still a good counsel.
So from that perspective, we could assume that these are trusted men. One, because they work for the king, but you didn't just work for any king, you work for the wisest king. So the king trusts your wisdom.
They could have told him not to build idols and stuff too, but
they probably did.
They probably
See, but
did.
God told him that. So it don't matter what they do. It don't matter what they tell him. God told him that. God told him that like twice, bro. Like, bro, if you follow after David and don't worship idols and stuff like that. Yeah, no. The king did what he wanted to do.
And we're going to see that right now too.
For sure.
So, all right. Rehoboam is like, all right, cool. That's whatever. Y'all telling me lower these taxes. I really care.
Let me get a second opinion.
So, in verse 8, but he rejected the advice from the elders had given him and consulted young men who he had grown up with who stood before him.
Right.
He said to them, "What advice do you give me? How should we answer the people who have spoken to me, saying, 'Lighten the yoke which your father put upon us'?" So the young men who grown up with him spoke to him, saying, "Thus you should speak to the people who have spoken to you, saying, 'Your father made your yoke heavy, but you make it lighter on us.' Thus you shall say to them, 'My little finger shall be thicker than my father's waist.' And now, whereas my father put a heavy yoke on you, I will add to your yoke. My father chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions."
Mercy. So
now, how that logically makes... Now, first of all, even before that, this is why it is so important, young people, to watch who you surround yourself with.
Boy.
And not always surround yourself with yes men. You know what I'm saying? Surround yourself with some real people who, when you doing foolishness,
They can check you.
They can at least check you. You know what I'm saying? Like, granted, you might still end up doing what you want, but at least you have the perspective about with some real friends who ain't like scared of you or like in fear of you, or like, you know, who just want to keep it real with you. Like, hey, bro, this ain't a good idea, man. Like, lower the taxes on the people. You know, just think it out. The elders give you some good advice. Like, it makes sense to me. They said, because Solomon gone them because he know they could tell him. Not even Solomon. Rehoboam going them because he know his friends could tell him what he want to hear. But these numbskulls ain't even tell him what he wanted to hear. They say, know what, bro? Up the ante.
Go crazy, bro.
Bro, it would have been...
You was the king, you know,
bro. A simple no would have been fine.
Yeah.
They say...
don't raise the taxes. The taxes remain, right?
We will do no action.
Yeah.
Nothing will change.
Yeah, nothing will change.
These fools tell him the disrespect they show you, bro. You can take that from them.
Can't do that.
They know you is it. That's the typical
They
line.
know you is it. Hold on. But you ain't Solomon, bro. You was Rehoboam, bro. Listen to me, bro. Solomon wasn't ready for you. Solomon waist ain't even the size of your little finger. You feel me?
My word.
But that's why I think that's why the Bible specified that these were the people that he grew up with. Because these like-minded individuals. So it's like me when I make music, right? I might send it to somebody and I'd be like, yo, how you feel about this? And no matter what they say, it's like that tone that tells me the story. So like, they could be like, bro, this solid. And I'd be like, all right, this ain't that good. But if they be like, yo, this solid, I'm like, all right, now I know, I could trust that just based on your reaction. Now, if you, no matter what you tell me, if your tone ain't sufficing for me, I start to feel self-conscious about the song. So now I got to go to my yes men now. You see what I'm saying? I got a couple of my people who I know never could diss me. You feel me? And so I go into them so that they can kind of like
boost
my confidence, you know? And so I think that's exactly what happened. So he went to the elders assuming probably that the elders had instructed Solomon from the jump to raise these taxes. But now we kind of find out the elders wasn't really even on that accord. The elders more so trying to appease the people so that we could have a good environment and a good nation, a good economy and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And they deny him. They tell him, yo, this ain't a good idea, bro. Listen to them because they ain't tripping. And if you listen to them, bro, they can respect you and everything will be good. But Rehoboam like, I ain't feeling that, bro. Let me go to somebody. Let me go to the people who I know thinking just like me. So no diversity. He went to them. And they probably told him exactly what he was thinking. Because these are people who grow up with him. So I believe that they was on the same type of time. You know? One thing I wanted to say from Ecclesiastes chapter 2, I think I mentioned this last episode, or maybe the episode before it. When Solomon was in this chapter, like if you go to 2 verse 17, he was like, therefore I hated life because the work that is wrought under the sun is grievous unto me, for all is vanity and vexation. Like Solomon was almost suicidal, but you talking about, I hate my life, bro. Like I hate life, bro. Like I hate it.
Yeah.
But then he goes on to say, I hated all my labor which I had taken under the sun, which was a lot of labor. He did a lot of majestic stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Because, not that anything was wrong with the labor. I hate my labor because I could die one day. He said, because I should leave it unto the man that should be after me. That's why he ate his labor. Nothing to do with the labor. But now I got to trust this in the hands of a person.
Somebody else, right?
You say, and I ain't gonna be there. You feel me? He said, and who knoweth whether he shall be a wise man or a fool?
Numbskull.
Or numbskull.
Numbskull.
Yet shall he rule over all my labor, wherein I have labored, and wherein I showed myself wise under the sun. This is vanity.
Yeah, right, but come on, Solomon. David leave everything to you.
Right.
I mean, I get it. No, I ain't discrediting what he's saying. It is all vanity. But Solomon, come on.
He mad, but not that. You see, Solomon don't have a point with leaving your stuff to wise offspring. It's the fools that he have a problem with. You know what I mean?
Wait, and from his perspective too, he probably wasn't the best father, because how could you be when you have too much children?
I agree. You have too much children and you have so many other pursuits and you just got a lot going on.
He's like, I don't even know these children can come up after me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what parenting was like during that time. Like, because I feel like we have a Western view of it where we care a lot, and this is valuable to upbringing your child, right? But I don't know, all of the patriarchs, I'm like, bro, were you there? Like Jacob, bro, you had 12. You had 12 sons. We know you had at least one daughter. Were you around, bro? You know what I mean? Like, because I know you had a lot of wars.
They were up to their own devices.
Right. I was telling my mom, I was talking about Jacob's 2 wives. And I was like, bro, the man had 2 wives, but he really had 4. You know what I mean? Because all of them come with someone else too. So you got to deal with 4 ladies and their children.
All of them give them turn.
Right. And they was beefing. The sides, they were not cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like they had some type of rivalry. Now imagine a king with 1,000 women in the rotation, you know?
But it's hard for me to comprehend that, bro.
It's hard for me to comprehend that he cared about women that was his wives and concubines for real, because if you cannot give them the type of time that any relationship needs for nurturing. You just can't. I feel like it's mathematically improbable, bro. Like, you only live to be like 60, 70, you know what I mean? If 70, probably 60, because you say
like
you was
60,
young.
yeah.
Because you say you was young when you started, you know? And so with women who are adults, who are a little more understanding, you probably don't have the time for. I could imagine the children, you understand what I'm saying? Who your child, like in the young stages, they may not even realize how absent you are for real, you know, because they're young, they can't really process what's going on.
Know all his children name.
Probably not.
He's the wisest man.
Yeah, so he probably did. Especially if he named everyone, he probably did remember. But at the end of the day, we see Rehoboam, who has become Solomon's, just based off this one line that we see with the little pinky, the pinky and the waist analogy. We see where he is not right, where he is becoming Solomon's worst nightmare.
Fox.
You know, and not to give Solomon no bail. Solomon was probably David's worst nightmare too. David probably only known Solomon until he was about 20 years old, right? David don't know the next 40 years what the man was doing.
I leave my kingdom to you and you had it squandered.
You had to squander, bro.
Because you won't worship idols.
Hold on, bro.
The one thing you shouldn't do, bro.
You building idols in the city of David?
Mercy.
That does sound right.
Oh, my.
I know.
So in verse 15, the king did not listen to the people, for the turn of events was from the Lord, that he might fulfill his word, which the Lord had spoken by Ahijah the Shilonite, to Jeroboam, the son of Nebat. Now when all Israel saw that the king did not listen to them, the people answered the king, saying, what share do we have in David? We have no inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, O Israel. Now see to your own house, O David. So Israel departed to their tents. Do you find it interesting that they said tents and not houses?
No, I just assume that it was either or in them time. Cause like when I look at pictures of Jerusalem, a lot of the houses, well, in that city, in like that holy city, it's like made in the stone. Like it ain't like made of like cement, cinder block, or wooden houses. It's like it's carved into the stone, and so it's like it's only so much stone for everybody to have, you know what I'm saying? So I just assume some people had tents, some people had house, because David was walking on top of his house when he saw Bathsheba, you know what I'm saying? And obviously Solomon had a house, you know what I mean? A big one. So, yeah, I think it's either or.
Yeah, so it's also interesting too, like how we say back to your point earlier that, you know, God was still orchestrating the whole thing. Essentially, again, hardened Rehoboam's heart to not listen to his elders, to listen to his friends, because, again, God was fulfilling his word, which he made to his father Solomon. Like, no, this kingdom won't get taken away from you by one way or the other.
So why Why are they taking it out on David?
So why they bringing David up?
Yeah, why they bringing David up?
That's like the olden school diss, man. When we mad at you, we start referencing your parents.
Boy. But David is the parent. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like Rehoboam parent is Solomon. Solomon parent is David. But they go on to the son of Jesse.
Yeah, but I think because we gotta go back to like even David's time, these northern tribes, Israel, as we're going to start seeing, we're going to start really getting into the difference between Israel and Judah now. But Israel was already feeling some kind of way because the kingdom was already in Jerusalem, already in the south. They already starting to feel like they weren't a part of the kingdom. Everything was just being looked for down, in the south. So they like, all right, you taxing us. You done treating us bad. We tired of you. We don't need to deal with this. We can just do our own thing now. He's saying, oh, Israel, return to your tents. Oh, yeah, we going back up north at this point. Like,
That might be why they was intense, though, because they might have
been coming down, too. I think that's probably the reason why.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense, though. That makes a lot of sense. But you could already see the tension boiling up between the tribes,
Because from David time, remember at the end, when David came back to Israel, they were telling Judah, like, why y'all get to like have him? Like, isn't he our king too? And it's like, but yo, y'all chill, like he, from our tribe.
Right.
And they was already feeling type away from then. But they just like, let tension subside. David finished out his reign. Solomon finished out his reign. But now they saying, hold on, this getting kind of ridiculous now. Tension starting to get little high again between them.
All right.
So in verse 17, but Rehoboam reigned over the children of Israel who dwelt in the cities of Judah. So now we're seeing it's kind of very like slightly, but we're seeing, okay, now Rehoboam dwelt over like the cities of Judah, but these Israelites kind of like rejected him as their king. In verse 18, then King Rehoboam, kind of, we suddenly just start referring to him as king. Just in case y'all forget, he was actually a king.
Yeah.
Then King Rehoboam set Aduram, who was in charge of revenue. But all Israel stoned him with stones and he died.
Mercy.
Therefore, King Rehoboam mounted his chariot and hastened flee to Jerusalem.
Hold on. So he sent Adullam to collect.
Yeah.
And they kill him.
Adullam was a fool.
Yeah, he's a fool. He just didn't understand how hostile this
Wait, think
this
about it
scenario.
now, right? All right, guys. I didn't want to pay you $400. You asking me to pay you $1,800 now?
No.
What could happen? This ancient days, they had their sword ready. No, shoot,
They
forget
had
a sword, they had a
stones.
stone.
I remember I was telling you,
Who needs
the
gunpowder?
city was like stone, you know what I mean? Like,
Who needs gunpowder?
no, I got this arm.
Little bit of elbow grease, he ain't hurt nobody.
They stoned the man, bro. Cold.
My boy literally catch a straight.
Boy.
That wasn't even meant for him.
I thought you don't kill the messenger.
No, the message is stupid. We just talking about being a fool, right?
Yeah,
You know tensions high.
boy.
You know tensions high. How in good conscience I could come here and talk to y'all now?
Boy. He ain't read the room.
Not at all.
Boy.
Not at all. He ain't read the room at all.
Stone your boy cold.
Wait, so now so we see they stone him, but what's Rehoboam do?
Phew. He had to go skip
He's like,
town.
I gotta go make it back to my safe house, boy.
I gotta get out here.
I gotta go where it's safe.
Oh man. He catch on though. He catch on quick. He say, boy, they do to him what Macho they can do to me.
Exactly.
Boy.
Man. So Israel had been in rebellion against the house of David to this day. Which is so funny because this is like one of the first times you read to this day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost really true still to this day. Because, y'all ain't even a kingdom or no more at all, for real.
And then even to this day, and I might be wrong, bro. I'm just speaking on my assumption and stuff, right? We don't speak about Israelites no more. We speak about Jews, which is and I'm not trying to be, I see you laughing, but I ain't trying to be quoted as anti-Semitic or any of them things. I ain't talking about that. I talking about how Jew is derived from the southern kingdom.
I get you. I get you. I know I get you. I get you.
I don't get us counted.
I get you. That's facts.
You dog. And so they don't speak about Israelites. You know what I mean?
They really don't. They really don't. And like that's a whole conversation. I'd almost even recommend y'all go listen to a couple other channels who try to tackle this topic
who try to break it down
very more eloquently because it gets all historical and timeline-ish. Like, because now we have a nation called Israel.
Mm-hmm.
But the debate now in different nope, I'm not even touching that. Let's move on.
Yeah.
I feel the Holy Spirit say, don't touch that right now.
Dog, just know,
Don't touch that.
during this current time when we was reading, right, there were 12 tribes. One don't really get no shine, right? Because when they split it, it was like 10 tribes, and then they equated to being one tribe in the south, but it was actually two. Based on context clues in the Bible, it was Judah and Benjamin. And all 12 of those together, that was Israel. You understand what I'm saying? Now, Judah is just one of 12, you know?
Exactly. So, like, and to Kazi's point, because from this point on in the Bible, you're really going to start hearing Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom.
Right.
Kingdom of Israel, Kingdom of Judah. And the distinction right now is going to be very important, but it's still hard to wrap your head around because it's still supposed to be one nation, but now they kind of broke off into two separate nations.
Yep.
But it's still one set of people.
Two nations under God.
Mercy. 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 Okay. So where we were reading?
I think we're in 21. Oh, no.
Yeah, we around like
Wait, 28.
We never finished 20. Now it came to pass when all Israel heard that Jeroboam had come back, they sent for him and called him to the congregation and made him king over all of Israel. There was none who followed the house of David, but the tribe of Judah only. And when Rehoboam came to Jerusalem, he assembled all the house of Judah with the tribe of Benjamin. See, now we're seeing Benjamin getting a little shine again.
Yeah, it is confusing because let's say we skip over, let's say you don't really retain this chapter and the chapter before. Moving forward,
It's just the kingdom of Judah.
it's just the kingdom of Judah. And then we just know the northern 10 tribes, but they don't even say what the 10 tribes are, right?
They just say kingdom of Israel now.
Right, and then when we keep going, it can say Kingdom of Israel, Kingdom of Judah, or the northern and the southern tribes, right? But it's like that Benjamin is the X factor, and we only know that because Benjamin fought against Israel, which means that it could not have been a part of Israel. You know what I mean? And so it's just interesting because like when I read through Kings last year, I missed the part where they identified Benjamin. And so it was cringy to me because I'm like, bro, it's 12 tribes of Israel. So why we only say Jerusalem and then they say the other 10 tribes? Like, why they keep saying that? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so it's Benjamin. And I guess Benjamin might not have been that big of a tribe still.
I think it was ever small.
Yeah, they was ever small, and then they almost get depleted in the end of Judges. Was it Judges? Yeah, at the end of Judges.
I'm left-handed people.
Yeah.
Mercy. So in verse 21, and when Rehoboam came to Jerusalem, he assembled all the house of Judah with the tribe of Benjamin, 180,000 chosen men who were warriors to fight against the house of Israel, that he might restore the kingdom of Rehoboam to the son of Solomon. The kingdom of Rehoboam, the son of Solomon. But the word of God came to Shemaiah, the man of God, saying, "Speak to Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, king of Judah, to the house of all the house of Judah and Benjamin, and to the rest of the people, saying, Thus says the Lord, you shall not go up, nor fight against your brethren, the children of Israel. Let every man return to his house, for this thing is from me." Therefore they obeyed the word of the Lord and turned back according to the word of the Lord. So it's interesting. Rehoboam, and again, so this even like someone just come to me too, like you realize this whole time, Rehoboam, again, he turned to his wise men and not God, which I don't think that would have helped because God had to fulfill his word to Solomon and Jeroboam. But you didn't talk to the Lord yourself. You just was like, all right, God, they asked me about tax. What should I do? Nope. Wise men, I don't like y'all answer. Friends, what y'all got to say? I'll just go with y'all answer.
Yep.
Then you really see, he really did come back and bite you. Now you're saying, again, you ain't talking to God. You're saying, but you're going to go fight y'all.
I'm about to take my thing back.
Exactly. I'm about to go try fight for this kingdom back. But then we have this prophet who was a man of God. It's interesting how we don't even know where some of these prophets just come from. It's just
I was like, Shimmy, I almost go and Google him just now because I wonder if we come across him yet.
I don't remember him.
Yeah.
Because I was like, the other one was Ahijah.
Yeah.
And now we have contemporary prophets who just, have who God speak to go talk to the king. But what's interesting is that Rehoboam listened. Because someone who didn't seem to have a connection with God actually listened when the word of God came and the man of God came and delivered the word. And he just say, all right, cool. There's no fighting this. I will surely not win this battle. So let me just stand back. And more importantly, too, I think it's why he also said, tell it to the army. So the army knows, all right, this from God. Let's just stand down. We ain't making no sense. So now, in verse 25, we start switching to Jeroboam. Then Jeroboam built Shechem in the mountains of Ephraim. A lot has happened in these mountains of Ephraim.
Real dog. And a lot has happened in this Shechem, in the land of Shechem. They still relevant to this day.
From time.
And
it's funny you mentioned the one daughter of Jacob.
Very true. Because Shechem was the first time, we heard of that story in the book of Genesis.
And they dwelt there in Shechem in the mountains of Ephraim. Also, he went out from there and built Penuel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, now the kingdom may return to the house of David if these people go offer their sacrifices in the house of the Lord at Jerusalem. Then the heart of this people will turn back to their Lord, Rehoboam, king of Judah, and they will kill me and go back to Rehoboam, king of Judah.
So, on one hand, we have Rehoboam, who did not consult God with his decision to increase taxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until they go to fight that a simple talk with God or a simple communication from God told them, hey, y'all not going to win this. You might as well just go back because this is from me.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Jeroboam, the king of the 10 northern tribes, who was saying that, if they ever go to Jerusalem to worship, they are going to be turned away from me and they're going to kill me and they're going to go back to their true king, Rehoboam. And it's like, God just told Rehoboam that, your kingdom done, bro. You forget about the northern 10 tribes, bro. I've taken that away from you. This is happening because of me. But how does Jeroboam not get that? You know what I mean? It's the same story from two different sides, but both sides are missing a pivotal part, which is God's role in all of this.
Exactly. Keep going.
Yeah, no. And Jeroboam had the advantage because he knew about this before Rehoboam.
Exactly.
Based on how the Bible is written. Because Rehoboam could have still known of it before, because God came to Solomon first and told Solomon that.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if Solomon, being the wise man that he is credited to be, was considering the kingdom in the future, he should have told Rehoboam, hey, God gonna take these 10 tribes away from me. I don't understand how Solomon could have not tell Rehoboam that, but it is possible. You know what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is, we know Jeroboam for sure know that it was divine that he was the king of 10 of those 10 tribes. So his line of reasoning is like, it just shows a lack of faith in God personally. Only a lack of faith in God. That's the only way he could have thought that his kingdom was in jeopardy, at all.
No, and bro, that's exactly where I was going with this, right? Because think about it. God himself told you, literally last chapter for us. If you, man, what was it? It was 1 Kings 11 verse. No, I lost it.
Which one you talking about? When Solomon was? Oh, when Ahijah met with Jeroboam.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 1 Kings 11. It's towards the ending, 29. They met him. Take your garments, but he shall have.
Oh, being right there. And nope, that's still that part. Okay.
Which part you looking at? So 32 says, but he shall have one tribe for the sake of my servant David and for the sake of Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen out of the tribes of Israel, because they have forsaken me and worship Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, Shemosh, the god of the Moabites, Milcom, the god of the people of Ammon.
37, just to help you out.
Oh, okay.
Let's jump down.
Yeah, jumping down to 37.
Yeah.
So I will take you, and you shall reign over all your heart desires, and you shall be king over Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Then it shall be, if you heed all that I command you, walk in my ways, and do what is right in my sight, capital M on all of these my's, by the way, to keep my statutes and my commandments as my servant David did, then I will be with you and build for you an enduring house as I built for David and will give Israel to you.
So, God promised you this. And on your first act as king, you almost forbidden your people to go worship their God.
Mercy.
Because it's one thing, bro, it's one thing if he say, all right. Granted, you should have just talked to God first. God would tell you, bro, still let them go worship you. Because I already made you this promise. Now, if you follow me, nothing's going to be wrong. You don't have to worry about your people. You already have the numbers on your side. You have 10 out of 12.
Yep.
What you worried about? Arguably, your kingdom should be greater than the house of David now because they didn't fumble the bag.
Mm-hmm.
But you worried. So the first thing you could do is almost forbid your people from worshiping God in the temple, where we know the presence of God literally is.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying, oh, I scared for y'all to go in there because of that. But instead, all right, I could see you say, all right, I'm going to build a second temple. But he didn't even do that.
I was just thinking that too. I was like, bro, it's a difference between you saying, God, man, I don't really want too much smoke and confusion, man. Let me have a temple on my side so we don't come down there. But you say no, bro. And boy, wait till we get down to what he really said.
Exactly. So therefore, the king asks advice. And my thing is, asks advice from who? Who you ask this advice from, bro?
Not Solomon Wise, man.
Bro, because they didn't even say who he asked advice. They said the king asked advice. Then made 2 gold calves. What?
Bro, who he asked? The devil himself?
Like, that's what I'm saying,
He
bro.
asked Aaron for advice?
That's what I'm saying. Like, bro, who did you ask for? At least we know Rehoboam going to the elders first.
Right.
Then he going to his numbskull friends.
Right, give us context.
Bro, this guy, bro.
Who did you go to, bro?
You just say, bro, what I can do? All right, this is what I can do. Like, you just ask yourself?
Did he go to Pharaoh?
Like,
Bro, I was joking before when I said the devil himself, right? But remember, he used to live in Egypt.
quite literally. Like, again.
Bro, that is crazy.
Okay, so he made 2 calves of gold and said to the people, is it too much for you?
It is
too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Here are your gods, O Israel, which brought you from the land of Egypt.
Mercy.
What?
That sounds
Like,
yeah.
very, but I'm like, bro, how you even get to Egypt?
Right.
These people only read about Egypt like, oh, we read about Egypt.
Right. Now, you know you're running out for even saying that.
Egypt?
Bro, do you not remember the last time somebody said these exact things and this exact thing in this exact circumstance?
It didn't go well.
It did not go well.
Y'all need Moses here for y'all?
Right, real talk.
Because I'm like, bro, the judges done happen. We done had a whole almost civil war where y'all almost thinking y'all get a king. Y'all had another king. Y'all had another king since then. And this last one just reigned for 40 years. So what you talking about Egypt?
Bro. Yeah, that's crazy. I think Exodus 30 is the first time we hear it. That's just my assumption. No, that's wrong. Anyway, Exodus 32. Exodus 32. So for those unfamiliar, read Exodus 32. This is when Moses and all of the Israelites left Egypt. Moses was on the top of the mount talking to God. While they were at the bottom, the Israelites, they was like, man, I don't know if Moses even coming back, bro. We need something to worship. Aaron put together some things and he make a... But if you let him tell it.
If you let him tell it,
he just throw all the gold into the fire.
And out came a calf.
That's his story. And you could tell me if that sounds like that makes sense to you. But he said the same thing. He said, yo, and to me, when people say, this is your gods that brought you out of Egypt, I internalize that as saying, not that saying that this calf brought you out of Egypt, but God remember when Moses asked God for his name, he just say, I am, right? We have this God whose name we can't really like capture like who he really is by name, right? And we don't even have a face for the name. So basically, he's saying that God, you remember, like if, let's say I describe someone to Earl and I don't know his name and I say, yo, Earl, you don't remember your boy who I used to see on the street who had the red car? That's my cousin. You feel me? So your boy who had the red car, that's my cousin because you don't have the name. So that's how I internalize this. They saying, yo, this the same God. Remember your boy who brought y'all out of Egypt, the God? This him here. You feel me? This the visual representation of him. That's how I internalized that. Not as saying like this calf specifically brought you out of Egypt. I internalized that because obviously we just made this calf. Like I don't, and you know, I don't know what people believe back in them days, but I don't think it makes sense that you think this specific calf brought you out of Egypt. But I think they saying the God who brought you out of Egypt, this is how we look, and this is our channel to communicating with him.
I mean, that's probably really and truly what he was doing.
Yeah.
Because one would argue, come on, people, y'all know God isn't in this calf. Like, y'all know the one true God, but it was like a physical representation of this God. Because think about it from his perspective. What is he trying to do? He is one trying to win over his people now and make it more convenient for them. Hey, guys, what am I telling you? One, I giving y'all 2 locations because we're going to see one is in Bethel and one's in Dan.
Mm-hmm.
And with this replacing, y'all don't have to travel all the way to Jerusalem, which in perspective is in the south. We're going to go all the way down south once a year to go to the temple and worship. I give them 2 locations. But again, it's so wrong because now you are really, 1, just a blatant abomination of God at this point. 2, you ain't consult God. 3, your own insecurities and your own pride allow you for your very first act to pretty much be a snare to your own people. God said, follow me and worship me and keep my commandments and do all that I ask you to do and walk in my ways. But the very first thing you do is walk in your own sight, bro.
Yeah.
That's the very first thing you do right out the gate.
And you know you was wrong, bro. You know you was wrong. I want to make a deep dive on, and I don't want to be factually incorrect, but I have like an assumption on this, like my own take. This is a case of somebody crafting how to worship God, right? Because God give them a list of gods not to be like, hey, don't be like this people God, that people God, this, that, and the third, right? Jeroboam, he may in clear conscience say, hey, I ain't break your that rule. Because this calf, none of them is worship a calf. I make a new person to represent you. I do that. And it's him being zealous in the wrong way. It's like what's the name? Cain from the beginning. God say, yo, do this sacrifice. Because it's a reason why I'm asking you for this. And these things of meaning. I ain't just asking you to do something just for smiles and giggles. You know what I mean? Like, there is a reason behind everything I'm asking you to do. Right?
Fox. Yep.
And can't take matters into his own hand, but God say, bro, you defeating the purpose. There's a purpose, right? So Jeroboam is saying, yo, I could do something for you. I could do something to represent you so that, and remember, he giving God the credit because God, Yahweh, is who brought them out of Egypt. And he's saying, yo, this golden calf, this represent Yahweh. That's how we doing it. This new thing I invented, that's how we doing it. And the reason why I also want to make a note that in the temple, there were golden calves, bro. And there was this big pot on top of it. A big bowl.
It was what, 10 of them or 12 of them?
Right. So like just to be completely frank, this isn't exactly far-fetched. He ain't pull this from far. He know it was in that temple. Oh yeah, it was golden calves in there. Oh, granted, it was seraphims and other stuff. He could have. I feel like that would have been a much better substitute, even though none of them would have been applicable. It would have been much more understandable to me. I should say, not better, more understandable to Nakhaz. But Jeroboam is basically saying, I cutting corners and I taking things into my own hands with my own wisdom because this makes sense to me. Oh, there was golden calves in there. All right, but mind you, the golden calves that were in the temple were not to be worshipped.
Nope.
No statue in that temple was to be worshipped. The Ark of the Covenant was not to be worshipped, right? But now Jeroboam, he just remixed everything that God was saying. And the point I'm trying to make is a lot of theology and a lot of practices is man-made traditions that is a remix of what God asks us to actually do. And because we remixing this, we taking some of the purpose out of what God asks us to do. You're defeating the purpose. There's a purpose behind all of this that I asked you to do, and you just cutting all of that out by trying to be zealous. It reminds me of Cain. You know what I'm saying? And I just wanted to add that perspective because it ain't like, to me, I don't look at Jeroboam just saying, bro, this man just all the way bugging. I look at him and saying, he's stupid. Like I know best to say that, like, it's idiotic. The thought process he went about using, but I can see that he was just copying and pasting certain things, like from based on what he see, based on what he saw.
that's a valid point. Like, he could see he was really like just replicating what was done, but going about in a way where when it was no consultation for God. Because again, to me, it's like one of the first examples of someone trying to bend religion to their own liking.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you because you're still trying to say we worshiping the one true God, but how we doing it? You're trying to go about it in your own way to make it more convenient for you to win over the people, not in a way that God authorized or sanctified. You know what I'm saying? Because you start to lean like, okay, we are going to worship God this way. You know what I'm saying? And that wasn't what God asked you to do at all.
Right.
So again, it might have been good intentions, but wrong
execution,
wrong consultation, everything at that point.
You know, it's a secular quote that say the path to hell is paved with good intentions. Right?
Oh, I tell you.
I find a lot of truth in that, bro, because throughout the history of Christianity specifically, like post Christ's death and resurrection, we have seen kings that remix the word of God and implement their own practices, and it get to a point where it's like, oh, this is a must do, or you will die if you don't do this. You understand what I'm saying? And we even have things that kind of trickle down all the way to the year of our Lord 2023, and we still do these things to this day. You know what I'm saying? The consequences are different, but we have people who hold a lot of stuff at high regard, and these things were not birthed from the Bible. This was just a man, a king, a pope, a religious leader, an emperor at the time say, yo, this what we doing. You feel me? Or else, do it or else, you know? And people have done it. Nah, I ain't gonna turn around and say everything that a human being has done is wrong. But my thing is, if it's contradicting the Bible, how can we side with that in pure faith? Or if what is being asked of me is not supported by the Bible, you should be just suggesting this to me. You shouldn't be like demanding I do this or do that. And my thing is, it's up to my conviction. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I wanna, like, just for instance, like, you know, Jesus say, "There's my body and there's the blood, which is the unleavened bread and the grape juice or wine." You know, as they use that word in the New Testament. Do this in remembrance of me, right? But we do this every 13th Sabbath. You know what I'm saying? If somebody get mad at me for doing it on the 14th Sabbath or on the first Sabbath, it's like I don't see that being a real argument, because the Bible don't say how often.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like
some denominations do it
every week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like these type of things, I'm like, you could suggest what I do, but to demand me doing this thing, you know what I'm saying? Show me biblically that we should be doing this. And like, I step on a little some toes in our Adventist people. Like, even when it comes to like being vegetarian or even vegan, you can suggest that to me. Like, I respect that, you know, and I understand all of the advantages, but to demand someone to live this lifestyle, it's like, biblically, is this a salvific thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand you that's like me saying, bro, Earl, bro, you might as well start taking the Sabbath from Thursday evening and just giving God 2 days out the week. You know what I mean? I can suggest it, but to demand you doing it, you feel me? Like, I don't feel like personally that's what God is asking us based on scripture.
Exactly.
And so we have Rehoboam who done this, and we can see the nasty impact of this. We can see how this is not a good idea. But if we were in Israel, we would have had some pushback on it. But the way it's packaged, if you don't know the word and know the word enough to understand how this is incorrect,
you can know history from their perspective. 'Cause I'm like, it's a direct callback to what was happening. But keep going.
And so history / the word, which would be like the synonymous thing, because like, you know, this was like nation and religion combined at the same time, right? So if you know history and you understand how this is wrong, like, no matter how somebody frame it, you will not be deceived. You're like, bro, this ain't right, bro. Like, but guess what? All of Israel started doing it. Bro, it's like people might have pushed back, but the people pushing back was not as strong as the people following. And it come to a point where people start doing this. And my understanding or my belief is that people do this because they was able to buy in because it made sense, bro. Because if it was blatantly like, oh, I want you to worship Satan or this and that, but who could do that, bro? Like, the devil's deception is subtle and it's convincing. If Jeroboam turned to them and say, yo, this just like in the temple, you ain't missing nothing. This golden calf is the same thing. And guess what? This thing represent the God who brought you out of Egypt. Because it represent the tabernacle, which represent the tent of meeting. You understand what I'm saying? How if someone bring it to you like that, you can start to think, you know, he do have a point because of all the similarities. You know what I mean? And it's half truths that they giving you in this deception. You know, and my point I really just trying to make is that, like, Bible first, the word of God come first.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of ways, bro. It's so many different outlets and different, like, philosophies that are start off biblically based, but they take a right and a left. You know, that's why we have so many different denominations, and some of these denominations they have vastly different beliefs and doctrines and theology, but it's the same book. You know what I mean? It should, well, for the most part, you know what I mean?
Some people got their little remixes.
Right, some people got their remixes, but in my mind, it's like, bro, when the deception comes around, if you don't know the Bible in a deep lesson, in a deep way, you wouldn't even understand how this nuance is wrong. On face value, might be like, this right. Exactly. But it's a nuance. It's like something so subtle. It's something so subtle. You know what I mean? Like,
I hear when guys say before, like, money. The Revelation say, the very elect may be deceived in the time of the
Matthew 24, verse 24.
Yeah,
Matthew 24. Yeah.
The very elect may be deceived. He says, so think about it. If you in them very elect, what happen to you?
What happen to you? You will.
If they get swinged.
if the top of the top,
it's a chance for them.
Right, it's a chance for them.
How about you?
What you think happen to you? You don't stand a chance.
You could be right there eating it up.
For sure. You could be right there.
You could be the one got the very elect thinking, maybe I wrong.
Maybe I tripping. And that's for real. But when I feel like, you know, this might be competitiveness in me, but the goal is to be elect. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with me saying that. The goal is to be devout and to understand the word, you know? And even them, it's a possibility.
Bro.
Oh, mercy.
It's all about the packaging, like we say.
Real talk.
All right, we got a couple of verses here. I gotta, like, try to finish this up and then we can just discuss. So again, we see he set up in Bethel and in Dan. So now in verse 30, now this thing became a sin. For the people went to worship before as one as far as Dan. He also made shrines in high places and made priests from every class of people who were not the sons of Levi, which again was very wrong. Then Jeroboam ordained a feast on the 15th day of the 8th month, like the feast that was in Judah, and offered sacrifices on the altar. So he did at Bethel, sacrificing to the calves that he had made, and at Bethel he installed the priests of the high places which he had made. So he made offerings on the altar which he had made at Bethel on the 15th day of the 8th month, in the month which he had devised in his own heart. So now we seeing who he
really is.
No, who he asked advice from.
Oh yeah.
He didn't ask advice from nobody.
Yeah.
He came up with this stuff himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, he literally leaned onto his own understanding. There was no consultation of any elders. There was no consultation of God. He said, "This is what I could do."
And then he appoint people who had no credential, and even if they did have credential, but they couldn't have credential. Like my thing is, like, even if they did have a background and they had wisdom, they were not of the priestly clan.
Because my thing is, bro, you have the tribe of Levi.
Yeah, you have them. I was just thinking that. But I think I remember the Levites, they were spread.
Yeah, because they didn't really have a tribe anymore per se.
Right, they didn't really have land for me.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
But still, I show you a couple Levites among your ranks.
For sure. No, they had the lion's share of Levites.
Like, you could at least do something right. You know? And then after one more verse, part of verse, and he ordained a feast for the children of Israel and offered sacrifices on the altar and burnt incense. And that's the end of chapter 12.
And so, all right, so initially he come out and say, yo, this the God who brought you out of Egypt, this God, look at him. That's who God is. You know what I mean? And then as the text progress, we get to see his true intentions. He wanted to manufacture everything God do. Bro, think about it, bro. He was trying to, I ain't gonna say change times and laws, right? But he was basically making his own feast days.
But he invented a new religion.
Right.
He invented a
carbon copy.
Yeah, it's like an offshoot.
Right.
He literally, it was literally like
He started a new religion, bro. Straight up, bro.
Yeah,
and he followed
it's
the
like the
blueprint.
Reformation almost.
Right. He's right. And so it's like, all right, we got shrines. You know, God damn, the Judah.
Again, in
the
the
Israel
sense of
of
making it
old.
more convenient for the people. Like, guess what? Y'all have y'all calves in Dan and Bethel, but guess what I can do for y'all? Y'all don't even have to go there if y'all don't want to. I'm making these other places where y'all can
Shrines,
set
we
up and
making
go and
altars.
worship and
Right.
altars and bing. Sacrifice to God. Again, God didn't tell you to do none of this.
And then he even had feast days. He even had a feast day.
Making your own feast
Making
days.
your own feast day. And it's like, it's so funny because, bro, if you get throughout the Old Testament and you do some deep research on the Old Testament, you see the reason behind the feast days. You see how every feast day pointed to Christ in a different aspect. All of these things was a remembrance to say, yo, we would be redeemed at some point in time, right? You just making this feast day on air. You know what I mean? You just making this a random holiday just to do, you know?
Exactly.
And so we see his true intentions, bro. His true intentions with making the golden calf was not to say like, this how you worshiping God. You know what I mean? His true intention was to make sure he dictate how people worship, period. You know?
Yeah, and I was telling you before, Paul, right? Like, it's these next couple of verses, chapters, I should say, it's like an inverted parallel of Exodus, almost, right? Just even take like the beginning of this chapter, because you're probably gonna hear me say this for like, again, the next probably 2-3 episodes. But in this one, in Exodus, we had Moses who fled Egypt to go to get away from Pharaoh, right? Here we had Jeroboam who fled Israel to go to Egypt to get away from the king. In Exodus, Pharaoh was overtaxing the people. Well, in this case, in Exodus, Pharaoh was overworking the people. Slavery.
They asked him to stop.
They asked him to stop. He doubled
Double
down.
it, yeah.
In Kings, Rehoboam doubled down on the taxes on the people when they asked him to stop and saying, y'all thought that y'all had about before. Now y'all mess up asking for lenience. Y'all getting even worse.
Yeah, y'all ain't seen nothing yet.
And now we have the guy who leaving Egypt to come rescue the people in Israel. Which is so interesting now. Now Moses ain't leaving to go rescue people in Egypt. Now this guy leaving Egypt to come rescue people in Israel. So,
and then the one thing with Egypt and Kings, the Exodus and Kings had in common now, is that golden calf.
I'm getting there now.
Yeah.
So now, again, this guy frees the 10 tribes of Israel from their bondage in slavery and servitude to the king who was putting them, who was an Israelite king. But now he leads them to, and they want 10 tribes, so they ain't able to go in the desert no more. He lead them again. Y'all could come worship y'all God, but now who y'all God is again? The same line. Here are your gods who brought you out of Egypt. Which is so interesting because again, you quoting an exact line from a character that you know.
Right.
You can't like I'm pretty sure almost everyone like it's like most of the Aaron. They
Bro, you know this story.
you know this story.
You know this story.
And so you all the things you could have said, bro. You purposely chose like even if he took the calf imagery from the temple, that specific line. You almost had no business saying that but you knew the significance of saying that line because Egypt, bro, no one here knows what it is to be in Egypt physically, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all are so far removed from Egypt at this point. What you really trying to say?
Yeah.
Especially if y'all know how that story ended to your point. But it's still funny how, like, again, when we get in other chapters, going to be kind of crazy how things, people, daughters dying on doorsteps and different stuff like that, where you're going to start seeing even more parallelism. But again, it's funny how the stories are flipped now. Like, we starting to see God almost showing, like, hey, y'all really going backwards. As a society, for me, I want you guys to be forward progressing. You're supposed to be my light. You're supposed to be the people I use to spread my love and my goodness towards the world. Everyone can get to know about me, the one true God. You know what I'm saying? But now y'all almost back like y'all back in Egypt, which is so sad because we shouldn't be here no more. I made 2 different nations my promises, and now all 2 of y'all pretty much turn y'all back on me. You know what I'm saying? Like we back in Egypt. Y'all worshiping idols again, both kingdoms. You know what I'm saying?
And you know it's so funny? Jeroboam ended up doing worse than Solomon. Solomon at the temple They was offering sacrifices. We had the Levites. They had something to do. But he also was erecting altars.
Mm-hmm.
So it was both. Jeroboam is like, no, it's just altars. It's just altars. It's just new. It's just new stuff.
Exactly.
New religion. Like,
all the requirements that we needed, because we kind of gloss over it, but think about it. The only people who were allowed to be priests were the people from the tribe of Levi.
yes.
The Levites. They were the only people allowed to carry priests. And we know within the Levites, they all had their specific roles. Some people were like, they care for the temple. Some people, they care for the ornament. Some people would like, care for the ark. But they all had their purpose as Levites. And that was the only tribes like the high priest and the actual priest could come from. You started handing out priestly roles like they was like coupon codes to Dairy Queen.
Right. Anybody.
Like, you want to be a priest?
Oh,
You want to
yeah.
be a priest? You want to be a priest? Like, what's that, bro? So it's like again, we it's not to be the dead horse, but you going so far to create your own thing because something you could have taken from God. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, I just get tired of sometimes the philosophy that we live in, bro, where you could tell somebody this is wrong and they'll tell you that's your opinion. It's my opinion that this wrong, or this just one way of life. You know what I mean? Like, bro, we in a society now, bro. You could tell somebody that witchcraft is wrong, and they'll tell you no, bro. That's just your opinion. You
This
know
my
what I mean?
way of worshiping God.
Yeah, this my way of, bro. Some people say they worship God through tarot cards and all of this and that and the third. And I think that's a good example. I have been told that, bro, by people that I know, that I love, that I spend time with. You understand what I'm saying? They connect to God through tarot cards, through palm reading, through the spirits. You know what I mean? And it's like, bro, you read, bro, you can't get through the second, third, fourth, and fifth book of the Bible without knowing vividly how God feels about witchcraft. When we get to the witch at Endor, I could say that's the only explanation you had with witchcraft. And you say, oh, that wasn't nothing really bad. That's in the Samuel account. Then you read it in Chronicles, and you're like, oh, Solomon died because he disobeyed God and he consulted a witch. They'd say that, you know what I mean? And so Jeroboam is like, yo, I use an idolatry to connect to God. And so me, someone who in this scenario, I do not have any type of enjoyment or attachment to worshiping idols in this form that I know of, right? I could turn around and tell you, bro, this is wrong, bro. Biblically, I can show you texts. This is wrong. Like, if I was back in them times, bro, and I understood the Hebrew language and I had access to scrolls, I could be able to show him. It should be around here. Got it. You know what I mean? Somewhere right here, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But it's like some people, like the way how the devil kind of like adds so much misinformation. It's like, no, that's just one way of thinking. You know what I'm saying? And so with the witchcraft, with not even witchcraft, with the golden calf worship, bro, this was just blatantly wrong, bro. And I am thankful that in the Bible we can see how it says this became a sin because people was doing this, and then also we can see chapter after chapter for the rest of this book, God is going to continue to reference this man Jeroboam, and it's not in a positive light because it's like at the end of the day, bro, right and wrong is not subjective, bro. Right is right, wrong is wrong, bro. Right, the Bible is right. God is right. Our creator, it don't matter what walk of life you come from, bro. You have to be able to respect that the person who created us here, put us here, has given us rules to abide by.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean? And it's not subjective, bro. So we should be able to see that in theory, when a human being creates something, or if I can prove that this is not from God, this is wrong. But a lot of people in society, the world we live in, is so many different backgrounds. They don't want to hug aside. They just say it's just a perspective.
Sorry, I missed that. Could you
Look at
say it
Siri.
again, please?
Look at Siri trying to get on the podcast. Anyway, they'll just say it's perspective.
That was random.
Yeah.
Oh my. Like, I would like to think if I lived in that day, I would have tried to speak up. But man, it really gets you to think, right? Like in the end times when apostasy will be so rampant, when things will be packaged in a way where it's so believable and it makes such logical sense, but if you don't have the Bible, you wouldn't know it's wrong. Like, I would love to think, and I pray, I think, is that I would be able to stand up against the injustices of the word of God, because it's going to come a time when wrong is right and right is wrong. And you would think we in that time today, because a lot of things right now going sideways, right? And you could see the degradation of society in multiple ways. I'm not going to list them, of how society is trending. And you know it's going to come a time when you see stuff like this are blatantly wrong. Because, I mean, bro, realize that no one else in Israel really was checking him. Think about it. You had 10 of the 12 tribes. I'm sure you had wise men. You had, like, again, you know what I'm saying? Like, so no one was in, like, yo, bro, maybe we shouldn't do this. Or, like, hey, you ask God about anything. Like, again, to your point, Aisha, like, yo, did I not tell you this? And what did God say? You not remember this? Like, maybe you had no one there to check you at all during this whole time. Were they scared? Were they just not around? Did he kill them? Like, again, why was no one in a nation of millions of people, no one come out and, like, raise a word to him that we know of? Like, it's not recorded.
I just want to assume that it did happen,
and he just doubled down, which very well could be. You know what I'm saying? But it's just so interesting that, like, they just went along with it.
Yeah, and it worked. It worked.
All right, cool.
10 tribes. It worked.
Man. So I guess to wrap this up, like, be read up, man. Like, understand the Bible, understand, like, the word of God, because it's going to come a point even more than today where it's very relevant and very, very important for our salvation. Because it's going to come a time when evilness is packaged so good, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between good and evil. And that's the day when you really need to have the word of God to be able to discern the difference, because that day will come.
Yeah, bro. Even this week, I see two big celebrities, like top 10 A-class celebrities. One is an athlete, one is a singer. It was just on the news feed, you know what I mean? And I just watch people glorify them, bro. And trust me, bro, I ain't that vocal when it come to celebrity, quote unquote, worship, for real. You know what I mean? Like, I understand fandom and I understand how people just get emotionally attached to stuff, right? But it's like, I watch somebody get a sermon, like literally like an audio of a sermon.
Oh boy, mercy.
Right? Mercy. I can just say it, bro. LeBron is my favorite player, bro.
Yes, he is.
My favorite, and everybody know that, right?
Yep.
So LeBron reached a milestone, and Nike, they wanted to commemorate him by a video montage of him. And for the audio, they have his highlights playing and stuff. And for the audio, they used a sermon where this person was saying, he's been so good, right? And it was like, they was describing, just someone glorifying Jesus, bro. And they say, you are a witness, you know, and all that he's done, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they was talking about Jesus. You could hear this is a black man preaching.
Yep.
But they used it for a LeBron commercial, bro.
It was kind of cringy.
Bro, it was so cringy.
Upsetting. Yep.
And when I first saw it, I had to search it up on the social media. And the first day, that night, when in real time, everybody was just, I guess, so engulfed with this achievement. Nobody was saying, bro, this is crazy. I go on Instagram, I see mixed reviews. The majority of people saying, yo, this is blasphemous. You know, this is idolatry, bro. It's only bro, this man ain't died for our sins. You know what I'm saying? And it was other people saying, bro, come on, y'all taking it too far, bro. As a Christian, you embarrassing. That's why our church so divided and stuff. And there's some people who legitimately did not see a problem with that, bro. We spoke about this last year when we see like rappers like Kendrick Lamar have a crown of thorns on their head when they like on the cross, bro, like the baby. And I see people likening themselves to Jesus, bro. And a lot of people are okay with it. Just okay with it. My thing is the audacity to have that, bro, the lack of respect. I don't see people doing that to Buddha, bro. I have never seen someone disrespect Buddha. And it might be because of the side of the world we on. You know what I'm saying? I never seen somebody like do this to the Nation of Islam, try to degrade them or try to make it seem like you are their God or and stuff like that.
Because anyway, keep going.
Right, but
Keep going.
and that's just my personal. You know what I'm saying? That's
No,
my personal.
It's a fact because I'm like Christianity. So we even like the other religions who can't even do it because they will kill you.
Right.
No, I mean not even like no disrespect and no thing, but like that's just a fact. But you can't go in like an Islam nation and we're trying to end this plane.
Yeah.
But you can't go to them even you can't even say, bro, forget Allah, Muhammad alone.
Right.
What?
Right, I get that, right, but in America, where
I get you,
where it's a melting pot. Now, granted, this is the biggest religion, so I understand why the focus would be more so on Jesus, right? But I do not see people doing that, bro.
Exactly.
Like, and my thing is, it's like, and I can end with this. When we think about the whole armor of God, the only weapon they name is the sword of the Spirit, which is the word.
Mm-hmm.
That's our weapon. It is the word. Now we have to defend ourselves. We have to protect ourselves and defend ourselves against all type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Protect our heart, protect our mind, protect our body, like the rest of our bodies. But when it's time to defend, our only thing to fight with is the word. That's our sword. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the only thing Jesus used.
And that's the only thing Jesus used when the devil tempted him. He's quoting. So much time Jesus just was quoting, and he's quoting the Old Testament too, you know? Mm-hmm. And so my thing is, if you do not know the word, and if you are not prepping to learn the word, you are in battle without a sword.
Mercy.
If you do not know the word, you are in battle without a sword. The northern kingdom of Israel had no temple of its own, and Jeroboam feared that the Israelites would want to go to Judah to worship. So in an attempt to prevent this, Jeroboam decided to make his own gods, establish his own feast days, and appoint his own priests. But naturally, the Lord was not happy about that. But we'll talk more about that on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tonight's episode included voice acting by your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next week.